Introducing first, the teacher. In the corner to my left, from Queens, New York, weighing in at 220 pounds, the Buzzkiller, Pat Buck. And introducing the student in the corner to my right, from the Andromeda Galaxy, recently escaped from Area 51. She is the galaxy's greatest alien, Kris Statlander!
Look, I know that Limitless Wrestling and everyone here tonight are some of the most passionate fans in the world. Tonight's very special. See, Kris Stat is someone that I trained from scratch. And I just have to say before this match begins how incredibly proud I am of her and all her accomplishments. She's an amazing talent, she's beautiful, and you know, I don't have a daughter, but if I do someday, I really hope she's just like Kris Stat. Which is why, for the first time in my life, I gotta ask something of you, Kris. I'm asking you to forfeit this match. And save yourself the embarrassment of losing badly. Look, don't listen to what these people are saying. Look, this isn't a joke. I've never asked anything of you in my entire life. Tonight's different. This isn't going to be a regular intergender match. I don't want to humiliate you. Lay down and do the right thing.
This is certainly not how I thought it was going to start. Bella's wrong. Pat Buck with the cover. But that's what I was hoping for. Kris Statlander would not lay down for anyone, let alone her trainer, Pat Buck, who just shoves her off, writes her off, saying some of the nicest things you could say about a person. And then, I don't get it. I don't get it. I know that Pat Buck is an odd duck, to say the least. The Buzzkiller. But to do that to somebody that you trained, you brought up in this business from scratch, like he said, to say, I'm going to embarrass you. Coming in here, Kris Statlander wanted to compete. It is student versus teacher. Here is Pat Buck now with a wrist lock there. Statlander back up to her feet, who's been nothing short of impressive. Nothing short of impressive since making her Limitless Wrestling debut many moons ago now, it seems. He gets put down there by Pat Buck, who's very impressed with himself. Pat Buck this past year getting back into it, looking for another run on the independent scene. Former Ohio Valley Wrestling competitor, signed to one of those original developmental contracts there of the Ohio Valley Wrestling days. Buck now looking for that hip toss. Statlander monkey flip, evasion by Pat Buck. That's not an invasion like the alien Statlander with a flying head scissors, tilt-a-whirl style. Headlock takeover into the head scissors of his own from Pat Buck. Statlander right back up. And Pat Buck almost looks surprised. You know, the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree there, Pat Buck. That is one of your prize students, yours and Kurt Hawkins, Mr. Brian Myers. You gotta believe that maybe Statlander has more of the integrity of Brian Myers, to say the least. I don't think Brian Myers would come out here and treat Kris Statlander like the way Pat Buck just did, who is beside himself right now on the outside, catching his breath, almost as if to ask himself, what just happened? Referee Tony P putting the count up. Pat Buck asking him to stop. Tony P listening. Nope, administering that count. Pat Buck now taking a walk, biding his time. And like I said, I know that Pat Buck to be is a bit of a kind of a loose cannon, an odd duck, if you will, at times, but I didn't think that he was going to treat one of his prize students just that way. Kris Statlander, known for her matches with Ashley Vox. Some very impressive matches, to say the least. Both ladies have nothing but heart. And again, that's why you see Ashley Vox in the position she's in. Extending the hand is Pat Buck, with the number one contender spot in the championship bout against Maxwell Jacob Friedman tonight. And I would say absolutely not. There it is. He deserved nothing short of that. Into the schoolboy kick out at 2 by Pat Buck, who's going to tell her business. Here we go. Catch with the arm wringer. Pat Buck reverses that arm wringer. Statlander with a cartwheel now of her own. Catches it in a reversal. Buck going through. Shooting that leg through. Back up top there. Arm wringer of his own once again. Pat Buck can chain wrestle with the best of them. Statlander showing off her cartwheels. Pat Buck trying to wonder what is going on. Statlander. Oh! And Statlander might have got a little bit too fancy for her own good. Pat Buck, the veteran, was not going to be wasting his time with that. Catches Statlander with a spear, and that could be it. 2. Just a 2. Maybe even 1.9. Tony P and Pat Buck now. Short arm clothesline. I feel like he didn't even put as much into that clothesline. I think somewhere in his demented head, he kind of meant it. He didn't want to have to hurt her. He didn't want to have to embarrass her, but you don't go about it that way. Catches her with a back elbow. But I'm going to tell you, you should not take Kris Statlander lightly, or else you're going to run into a problem. Stepping on the hair and bringing up the arms. I'd say that wouldn't be too much of a problem for Pat Buck. Short hair versus long hair. Pat Buck here never stops. That'd be the Buck never stops. A very busy schedule this year. Appearances all over the place, including AEW upcoming appearance. CZW. He's been all around to the top independent arenas in the country since the beginning of 2019. Only 2. Pat Buck picking her up by her hair. Kris Statlander is going to have to get out of there. She's in the wrong part of town. Pat Buck says no punches. Big chop to the chest. Just as punishing. And that's what I'm saying. Pat Buck, I don't know. And like I said, in his demented mind, he's genuine. He's sincere when he says he doesn't want to hurt her. You can hurt in different ways to demean someone that you care so much about. Pat Buck shoots Statlander to the corner. In hard. Big back elbow from Kris. Statlander getting a moment to catch her breath. Catches Pat Buck in the face with a boot. Touches the clothesline. German suplex into the corner. He's not going to punch her in the face, but he's going to drop her right on her head, right on that turnbuckle. Buck with the cover. 2. Only 2. Catches it over. Eye rakes her. Oh my goodness. Where the flesh is weak, right there. Trying to gouge her eyes. Statlander trying to shake it off. Was able to evade some of that. Pat Buck now. Grabbing her again by that long hair. Buck shoots her off to the ropes. Catches her with a sleeper hold. And if he can put her to sleep, it won't even require a submission. If he can put Kris Statlander to sleep, that'll be enough. Tony P will ring the bell. Working her down. All of his weight right there. All that blood. Can't get there. Can't get enough oxygen to the brain when you have the sleeper hold applied correctly. Statlander's got it up. Driving that head right into the chin of Pat Buck. Throws the line, evades it, catches a kick. Not sure if she got all of it. Pat Buck, though, floats to the corner. Statlander coming in. Big European uppercut. Looking for a suplex. Up. Face first into the canvas. A cover. 1, 2. There are only 2 from Tony P. Kris Statlander. Gonna have to stay on Pat Buck here. Looking for Pat Buck perhaps to make a mistake. Perhaps Pat Buck might be a little too light on Kris Statlander. Maybe he needed to throw a punch. That Celtic roll there from Kris Statlander could be looking for a patent moonsault. Picture perfect, lands on her feet. Pat Buck up kick to the stomach. He could be looking for here. Looking for a pile driver. Statlander puts on the brakes. Puts Pat Buck over. Statlander now. Kick to the stomach. Could be looking for a pile driver of her own maybe. Pat Buck puts on the brakes. Makes himself heavier. Gets down. A little bit of a soul food. The feet meet the face there from Pat Buck. Big knee to the face. Only getting up on that third turnbuckle there. Buck's putting her up. What could this be? Electric chair formation. Maybe an assault driver almost? Oh no! Assault driver by Pat Buck! Oh, he's got it. That could be it. The finish. 1, 2, 3. Only 2. Pat Buck wiping the sweat off his brow, kind of wondering what he's going to have to do to put one of his prize students away. And why wouldn't you be surprised there, Pat Buck? Isn't she your student? Doesn't she have the same heart as you? Doesn't she have the same desire as you? Trying to kill the buzz of his own student here tonight in Westbrook, Maine for Limitless Wrestling. Once again in the electric chair position. Pat Buck looking for a second assault driver. Victory roll. 2. Only 2 from Statlander. Kris is back up and catches a clothesline, turns inside out by Pat Buck. Go over that cover again. 2. Only 2. The fighting spirit of Kris Statlander might not be able to be matched in this match. The straps are down from Pat Buck. Buck now bringing Statlander back up to her feet. Looking for a scoop in that power slam-like position. We're looking for a tombstone here. Statlander wiggles out. Puts Pat Buck up. Every bit of him. Oh, wait a minute. Gonna be going for the crush here. And boom! Lands every bit of it. 2. He's got a 3. Kris Statlander, the student, has become the teacher tonight. Very impressive victory. Stunning Pat Buck right there. And this crowd is on their feet for it. What could possibly be next for this shooting star of a competitor, Kris Statlander?